The cases against Trump are collapsing. This is me, Talha, from Asia. I do react on political videos of US. I have another video with a very interesting topic. The cases against Trump are collapsing. I'm going to react on this video. What do you think? Trump is going to be a next president, or he's going to, in a prison in the upcoming days? Without wasting any time, let's dive into the video. Here we go.
Hey gang, it's me, Dr. Steve, your Patriot Professor. As you can see, I'm still on the road here, coming to you from Irving,
By
Texas.
the way, make sure to check the original video by Dr.
Steve. Feel better in
Steve.
these crazy and very, very turbulent times. So wherever you are, make sure to smack that bell and subscribe button. The cases against President Trump are unraveling, and we may even be seeing the Supreme Court finally intervene in all this. Let's start with what's going on
Supreme
in
Court
New York.
finally
An appeals
intervene in
court
this.
has put a stop to that woke judge's order to break up President Trump's businesses in New York. As I'm sure you may know by now, Judge Engoron, or the Snow Miser as I prefer, has weaponized the legal system against President Trump. You'll note that there are no banks or insurance companies suing Trump. No one. None of New York's banks or insurance companies, no actual business entities are suing him. And that's, of course, because every single one of these banks did their own due diligence in estimating the worth of Trump's properties. And that's the key. They, the banks and insurance companies, determined the worth of Trump's properties. But the state of New York, through this Maoist judge, is accusing Trump of, quote, overvaluing his properties. So they're fining him hundreds of millions of dollars. They're in the process of trying to break up the Trump organization and seizing control of his properties, including Trump Tower, and even penalizing his kids, for heaven's sake. His kids are being brought into all of this. It's utterly insane. Well, thankfully,
Yes.
a New York appellate court has just stepped in and canceled Judge Engoron's ruling that forced the Trump organization to cancel business certificates and appoint receivers. So for at least the next month, this judge can't touch Trump's company. It's a huge defeat for the state's case against Trump, led by this judge and, of course, New York's insanely woke Attorney General.
A sweet victory
James.
for Trump
and this
right
is yet
now.
the latest defeat for her. I mean, if you recall, on day one of the trial, the judge conceded that the statute of limitations are in effect on transactions that have closed prior to 2014, which means, according to Trump, that basically 80% of this case got thrown out on day one. And Letitia James was so angry that she reportedly left the courtroom without granting a single interview, given that she just lost 80% of her case against Trump on the first day because she can't figure out what the heck statute of limitations actually are. So that's what's going on in New York. Let's go to the classified documents case. So Judge Eileen Cannon, who's overseeing that case, has halted any and all legal proceedings related to the classified materials as Trump's attorneys request an extension of the deadlines in the case. Now, the main issue here involves how the court is supposed to handle the classified materials that are at the center of the case. The materials are sensitive, of course, because of national security requirements, but that does beg the question, given that it is President Trump who alone has the ultimate decision-making authority in terms of what is and is not classified. Not a court, not a bureaucrat, or any other unelected official. But regardless, the judge in this case established several deadlines for ruling on those issues, and Trump's legal team has filed a motion asking her for a 3-month extension, complaining that they've still not been granted access to significant portions of the materials that they have a right to see based on discovery. So it looks like this whole attempt at weaponizing the legal system against Trump is starting to meet some significant obstacles and barriers in the courts, which of course raises the question, when will the Supreme Court finally intervene in all this? Well, we may have just gotten an answer on that. Just a few days back, President Trump filed a motion to dismiss his January 6th case pending against him, citing presidential immunity as a grounds to dismiss the case in its entirety. Now, this is huge because the motion equally applies to the Fulton County prosecution as well. Both cases against Trump involve what he did as president. And the notion here is that Trump, as president, has immunity from prosecution. Now, we've already seen a state judge rule in Trump's favor on this. A Pennsylvania judge recently ruled that Trump cannot be sued or indicted precisely because of the protection provided to him by what's called presidential immunity. Judge Michael Erdos ruled that Trump's immunity extends to a tweet he posted and statements he made during a Pennsylvania State Senate committee hearing back in November of 2020, where Trump, of course, alleged fraudulent activity in the state's election counting process. The lawsuit against Trump was brought by one of the supervisors of Pennsylvania's voting machines during the 2020 election. And that supervisor claimed that President Trump and others, Rudy Giuliani in particular, had conspired to slander him, caused him to receive death threats, and even suffer, two heart attacks. Poor fellow. But according to this Pennsylvania judge, Trump's actions are indeed protected under what's called presidential immunity. Now, this protection comes from a Supreme Court case called Nixon versus Fitzgerald. And constitutional scholars argue that the decision gives the president absolute immunity for all the actions done as president, even if those actions were unlawful. I mean, it's very, very interesting. And now it's starting to make the rounds more and more that these 4 cases against Trump may indeed end up getting tossed up precisely because even the Mar-a-Lago classified documents case, they all deal with actions Trump engaged in as president. Now, the real question in all of this is simply, is Trump's motion to dismiss based on his claims of absolute presidential immunity appealable pre-trial? In other words, can this ruling be used by the Trump team to demand an appellate process before all his trials begin, so that those appeals ultimately end up in the Supreme Court before any of these trials actually start? This wouldn't affect the New York trial, by the way, because that involves actions Trump took before becoming president. But all the other cases, all the 4, have the potential of collapsing if Trump's appeals to presidential immunity are found to have a pre-trial legitimacy, which means that the appeals process for that immunity would end up in the Supreme Court, and their ruling could just throw this whole thing down. So all of this is to say that Biden's attempt at jailing his main political opposition may indeed end up backfiring once and for all.
This was a video. I think it's a good news for Trump. The cases against Trump are collapsing, but I think it's not the end. He has to face a lot of things in the future, in my opinion. I don't know in 2024, November 2024, he's going to, win the election and he's the next president, or he's going to end up prison. I don't know the future. What do you think? Please tell me in the comment section. That's it for today. Make sure to subscribe my channel so that we can meet again. Maybe you're watching me last time. So please subscribe right now. Till then, bye-bye.